Hello viewers, welcome to the official Handshake Medical YouTube channel. I Kashki Dwivedi is here with you to guide you. Today I am going to deal with the very important topic, that is the clinical anatomy of the mediastinum. I have already published my video on the mediastinum. You may find it in the thorax anatomy playlist, or you may tap on the I button to get the direct link of that video. You may also find it in the description box of this video. I will attach the link there too. So I would suggest you must have a watch of that video of the basics of the mediastinum before coming to this video to get the detailed understanding about the mediastinum and its clinical. So without any delay, let's get started with the applied anatomy of the mediastinum. So first of all, we will study about the mediastinitis. As the name itself suggests that it is something related with the mediastinum, and the suffix itis represents the infection or denotes the infection that leads to the inflammation or the swelling that eventually leads to the formation of the pus. So we will study this clinical by this diagram. So understanding the basics of this diagram, first of all, this picture is of the lateral view of a person. So we all know very well that posteriorly there lies the vertebral column up to the C7 vertebra, that is the portion or part of the neck. Then from the T1 vertebra to the T12 vertebra, that is the portion or part of the thorax. Anteriorly there lies the sternum. Sternum is divided into three parts. Topmost part is the manubrium sterni, then body of the sternum, and the inferiormost or the lower part xiphoid process, and inferiorly there lies the diaphragm. And from the topmost point of the manubrium to the T1 vertebra to the sternal angle, that is also the landmark for the attachment of the second rib, or from the junction of the manubrium and the body up to the lower border of the T4 vertebra, this much part is of the superior mediastinum, and inferior to this line there lies the inferior mediastinum. And this one is the layer of the pericardium, and this one is also of the layer of the pericardium. So this layer of the pericardium divides the inferior mediastinum into three parts. The part anterior to this layer of pericardium is the anterior mediastinum, and the part posterior to this layer of pericardium is the posterior mediastinum region, and in between these two layer of pericardium there lies the middle mediastinum. This much part is the recap of mediastinum. Now looking further, this one is the vertebral column. So anteriorly in front of or before this vertebral column there lies the fascia, that is known as the prevertebral fascia, and it is attached up to the T4 vertebra only. And we have studied in the contents of the superior mediastinum that in the content of the superior mediastinum there lies the trachea, or the windpipe. So anterior or front or before this trachea there lies the fascia known as the pretracheal fascia, and the space in front of this pretracheal fascia is the pretracheal space. Now coming on the clinical of the mediastinitis. In mediastinitis what happens? There is the infection in the neck. Now as I have told earlier that the infection leads to the inflammation or the swelling that eventually leads to the formation of the pus. Now that pus, if present under the prevertebral fascia, then that pus may reach up to the T4 vertebra, T4 level only, because up to the T4 vertebra there lies the PV fascia or the prevertebral fascia. Beyond it, that pus cannot be seeps or leak. And if that pus is present between the prevertebral fascia and the pretracheal fascia, then that pus may sift through the superior mediastinum to the posterior mediastinum region, and if that pus is present in the pretracheal space or is present anterior to the pretracheal fascia, then that pus may sift through superior mediastinum to the anterior mediastinum region. So this one is the first clinical. Now coming on the second clinical, that is the mediastinal syndrome. Mediastinal syndrome. Now as the name itself suggests, it's something related with the mediastinum, and the syndrome, as we all know, syndrome is a group of diverse signs and symptoms that represents the picture of a disease. So what happens in the mediastinal syndrome, that there is a compression of the mediastinal structures. Mediastinal structures means the content or the structures present in the mediastinum region. So there is compression in the mediastinal structures by various factors, by any mass, that may give rise to the mediastinal syndrome. Now what happens in the mediastinal syndrome? There exist various signs and symptoms. So there is the engorgement of vein, dyspnea, dysphagia, hoarseness of voice, mediastinal widening and mediastinal shift. So we will study these all by these two diagrams. Now first of all, this diagram is represent the radiographical picture. So we will study in the radiology that the white color region is the radio opaque region, and it represents the bone or the excess fluid or the spaces or the air, and the black color region represent the radiolucent object, that is the lungs or any organs. Here in thorax we study basically the lungs. So here we can clearly see that the mediastinum region is present actually between the two pleural sacs or between the two pleuras. So this mediastinum region is actually diverged or get widened, get enlarged. And coming on the second picture, here we have studied in the pleura that there are the two layers of the pleura. One is the parietal layer or the outer layer. This one is the parietal layer or the outer layer, and one is the visceral layer, inner layer or the pulmonary layer. This one is the visceral layer, inner layer or the pulmonary layer. Three names for one. Now in between these two, parietal and the visceral layer, there exists the pleural cavity, and if there is infection in the pleural cavity, so in this case there may present the blood that causes the hemothorax. There is the presence of the air that causes pneumothorax. There may be present water or any fluid that causes the hydrothorax, and there may be present the pus that may causes the pyothorax, that may lead to the pleural effusion. So clinicals for the parietal cavity filled with this blood, fluid, air or the pus, that is the pleural effusion, in which there infection in the pleural cavity, by virtue of which the recess becomes filled up, or recess become wide. Along with it, there are also symptoms of the difficulty in breathing. So actually coming on our topic, that is, it is very obvious that if the pleural cavity get enlarged, then the lungs become compressed. So in radiography we will find out that the infected lungs become compressed, or seen very shorter in size than the normal lungs, and actually by this there is a compression of the mediastinal structure too. Mediastinal structure also become compressed. So from the infected side to the normal side, there we may find the shifting of the mediastinum. So this much is all about the mediastinal syndrome. Now the correction. So correction or the treatment, we may apply the thoracocentesis, where we will apply fine needle aspiration, by which fluid is aspired through the pleural cavity. Excess fluid or whatever may present in the excess in the pleural cavity is aspired by the fine aspirating needle. So this much is all about the clinicals of the mediastinum. Hope you learned the best. So thanks for watching. Thank you.